reunion is on the horizon, with the possibility Prince Harry will reunite with his father, King Charles, for the first time this year. But the
Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, as well. We saw cousins Beatrice and Eugenie. They are entering into Westminster Abbey. I want to go to Keir Simmons as we watch.
For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have insisted they wanted privacy after stepping away from royal life. Yet every public appearance seems to reignite fresh controversy. Now, their latest UK reunion has sparked explosive claims that the couple turned a deeply symbolic return into a lucrative opportunity, leaving King Charles reportedly embarrassed and the palace facing renewed scrutiny. Was this carefully planned, wildly misunderstood, or something even more calculated? The real story behind the headlines is far more complex than the public has been led to believe. But why would Meghan and Harry ever think of monetizing their UK reunion? What could her demand be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. To help us create more videos and uncover the latest royal drama, please subscribe. Highgrove's secret reunion finally revealed. So, deep in the peaceful English countryside, Highgrove House appeared calm and unchanged. Birds sang, the gardens looked as perfect as ever, and nothing suggested that history was quietly unfolding behind its gates. Then, one after another, around 20 vehicles made their way along the winding drive. To anyone watching from a distance, it could have looked like nothing more than a routine gathering at the king's country residence. But hidden among those ordinary-looking cars were some of the most talked-about people in the world: Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and their two children, Archie and little Lilibet. What made the arrival so remarkable was not just who had come, but how they managed to do it. No photographers were waiting outside an airport, no television cameras capturing Meghan carrying the children, and no excited crowds hoping for a glimpse of the famous family. They entered Britain almost unnoticed, moving with such care that they seemed to disappear into the background. After enjoying a holiday somewhere in Europe, Meghan and the children quietly made their way to Highgrove, while Harry arrived separately after completing his commitments with the Invictus Games in Birmingham. This was far more than a simple family reunion. Every detail appeared carefully planned, almost like a carefully choreographed operation designed to avoid attention. For weeks, newspapers and television networks had followed Harry's every move, covering his legal battles over security, his public speeches, and the latest twists in his complicated relationship with the royal family. Yet, despite all that intense media attention, Meghan and the children managed to travel across the country without attracting the spotlight. Their discreet journey immediately sparked fresh debate. Many observers pointed to the successful operation as evidence that Britain might not be as unsafe as Harry had previously argued during his legal campaign for taxpayer-funded police protection. If his family could enter the country, travel through it, and reach the king's private residence without anyone noticing, some questioned whether the security risks were truly as severe as claimed. Others, however, argued that the secrecy itself demonstrated just how carefully every movement had to be planned. The mystery surrounding the visit only made it even more fascinating. If Harry and Meghan genuinely wanted to leave royal life behind and build a quieter future overseas, why go to such extraordinary lengths to keep this meeting hidden? What conversations were important enough to remain completely private? Behind the doors of Highgrove House, King Charles III and Queen Camilla reportedly spent more than an hour sharing lunch with Harry and his family. For the king, it was said to be an emotional moment, a rare opportunity to see his grandchildren in person for the first time in 4 years. Yet, true to palace tradition, almost nothing escaped those walls. No official photographs were released, no detailed statements were issued. Just a quiet arrival, a private meeting, and countless unanswered questions that continue to fuel public curiosity. But why did Harry arrive secretly this time around? Could he have done something that forced him to make his arrival secret? Let's find out. The battle that consumed Harry. All right, for years, Prince Harry believed he was fighting a battle that was much bigger than himself. To him, it was never simply about newspaper headlines or protecting his own reputation. He saw it as a mission to expose what he believed were harmful practices within parts of the British tabloid press and to seek justice for the pain he felt his family had endured. But according to reports, that long and determined campaign has now reached a disappointing conclusion. The turning point came when the High Court dismissed all 97 claims Harry had brought against Associated Newspapers, the publisher of the Daily Mail. The ruling was widely seen as the final chapter in an 8-year legal struggle that Harry had hoped would reshape the relationship between powerful media organizations and the people they report on. Instead of delivering the sweeping accountability he had envisioned, the decision left many believing that his broader mission had ultimately fallen short. For Harry, these legal battles were deeply personal. He has often spoken about his belief that relentless media attention played a tragic role in the death of his mother, Princess Diana. He also argued that years of aggressive reporting damaged his own life, placed enormous pressure on his relationships, and subjected Meghan to what he viewed as unfair and constant attacks. His goal was not only to win court cases, but also to expose alleged wrongdoing, hold influential media figures responsible, and encourage authorities to investigate what he believed were unlawful journalistic practices. However, the outcome did not match those ambitions. The courts did not support the wider allegations he hoped to prove. No senior media executives were found personally responsible, and no fresh criminal investigations emerged from the cases. While Harry achieved several individual legal successes over the years, they did not produce the lasting institutional changes he had envisioned. The campaign also came with a heavy personal price. Reports estimate that the legal battles generated around £50 million in legal costs. Beyond the financial burden, Harry's outspoken criticism of the royal family, including suggestions that some members had become too close to the press, appeared to deepen already fragile relationships with King Charles III and Prince William. Years earlier, Charles had reportedly warned his son that taking on Britain's powerful tabloid industry would be probably a suicide mission. Harry, convinced of the importance of his cause, pressed ahead regardless. Looking back, many observers believe this prolonged legal fight became the defining mission of Harry's public life. Yet despite years of determination, emotional investment, and courtroom victories in individual cases, the wider transformation he sought never materialized. Instead, he emerged from the conflict with damaged family ties, an equally strained relationship with the British press, and a campaign that, in the eyes of many, ultimately failed to achieve the historic change he had hoped for. So, while Harry seemed to have arrived secretly after blowing his second chance away and pleading for another chance, did he now behave well? Or did he still show his true color? Keep watching. Harry's comeback raises fresh questions. Now, only 3 days after that quiet and highly private meeting, Prince Harry appeared in front of a microphone with an energy that caught many people off guard. Speaking on Joe Mara's podcast, he sounded cheerful, relaxed, and completely at ease. There was little sign of the pressure and criticism that had surrounded him only days earlier. Instead of someone weighed down by controversy, listeners heard a man who seemed confident, optimistic, and eager to engage with the public once again. Harry introduced himself with noticeable pride, describing himself as the Prince of England, the Duke of Sussex, a British Army veteran, and a full-time father. The introduction immediately drew attention because it highlighted the very royal identity he has often appeared to distance himself from over the past several years. His warm jokes and easy laughter gave the impression that he had turned a difficult chapter into little more than a passing inconvenience. The contrast with the previous week could hardly have been greater. A senior judge had publicly raised serious concerns about Harry's legal case, sparking widespread discussion across Britain. At the same time, several prominent newspapers argued that he should no longer continue serving as a counselor of state, suggesting that his role within the monarchy had become increasingly difficult to justify. Those developments painted the picture of a prince facing mounting challenges on several fronts, yet none of that seemed visible during the podcast. Harry spoke with the confidence of someone who had regained his footing. His upbeat attitude left many observers wondering whether the reported private tea with King Charles at Highgrove had somehow lifted his spirits. Did that discreet family meeting provide reassurance behind closed doors? Had it offered a sense of hope that the public knew nothing about? Or was Harry simply determined to project confidence regardless of what was happening behind the scenes? The podcast itself carefully avoided revealing anything about the private reunion. Harry shared no personal conversations with the king, offered no details about the atmosphere at Highgrove, and made no mention of how other members of the royal family reacted. The silence only fueled even more curiosity, leaving royal watchers to fill the gaps with their own theories. What stood out most, however, was the unmistakable return of Harry's royal branding. His princely title and noble rank took center stage once again, becoming a key part of how he presented himself to listeners. For many critics, that raised familiar questions. Harry and Meghan have repeatedly spoken about wanting independence from royal life and the freedom to build careers on their own terms. Yet moments like this leave some wondering whether complete separation was ever truly possible. If the royal titles remain such a central part of Harry's public identity, many are left asking exactly what aspects of royal life were left behind, and which ones continue to shape his future. But must Harry, who arrived secretly, grant interviews and appear in public? What other thing was raised at the interview? Stay tuned. The Prince Searching for Purpose. So, when Harry was asked what he does for a living, his answer surprised many people. Instead of mentioning a business, a leadership position, or one of his commercial ventures, he simply described himself as a full-time dad, veteran, prince, and duke. At first, the response sounded refreshingly sincere. After all, raising children is one of the most important and demanding responsibilities anyone can have. Many people appreciated that he appeared to value fatherhood above professional status or financial success. However, the more people thought about his answer, the more questions it raised. While Harry clearly loves his children, reports over the years have suggested that the family also relies on household staff and nannies. At the same time, Harry is frequently seen traveling for public appearances, charity events, court cases, and business meetings, often without his family. Because of this, some critics argued that calling himself a full-time dad did not fully reflect the reality of his day-to-day life. The discussion became even more interesting when people considered the lifestyle the Sussexes have built in Montecito, California. Their luxurious estate, private security, household employees, travel expenses, legal battles, and other financial commitments require millions of dollars to maintain. Living at that level demands a reliable and substantial source of income, leading many observers to wonder how the couple plans to sustain it over the long term. This is where the spotlight naturally shifted toward Meghan. Over the past few years, she has increasingly positioned herself as the more commercially active member of the partnership, through her lifestyle brand As Ever. Along with entertainment projects, business partnerships, and media appearances, she appears to have taken on much of the responsibility for generating new opportunities. Harry, on the other hand, remains deeply connected to charitable work, particularly the Invictus Games, as well as various causes he has supported for years. While these efforts have earned him respect and admiration, charitable work rarely provides the kind of consistent income needed to support such an expensive lifestyle.
Harry's seemingly simple answer sparked a much larger conversation about the future of Brand Sussex. Once viewed as a couple with almost limitless potential, after stepping away from royal duties, they have experienced a series of highs and lows. Major projects including documentaries, memoirs, interviews, and high-profile business deals have generated enormous public attention, but
they have also attracted criticism, controversy, and questions about their long-term direction. For many listeners, Harry's response sounded less like the confident introduction of a man who had found his next chapter, and more like the reflection of someone still searching for it. It left many wondering whether he had expected Hollywood and private enterprise to provide the same stability, purpose, and identity that royal life once offered. That striking contrast between his privileged past and uncertain present made his words feel unexpectedly revealing, adding another fascinating chapter to the ongoing story of a prince trying to redefine himself between two very different worlds. So, did Harry offer any explanation on the use of royal status and titles for personal brands? Was it even in line with the terms on which they left royal duties? Stay glued. The independence that needed royalty. For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have presented themselves as a couple, determined to build a life on their own terms. When they stepped back from royal duties, they promised freedom from palace rules, greater privacy, and complete control over their future. Moving to California symbolized a fresh beginning, a chance to create their own identity, launch successful ventures, and prove they no longer needed the institution they had left behind. It was a bold vision of independence, one that captured global attention and sparked endless debate. Yet, in a surprising twist, the biggest story surrounding the Sussexes this year had nothing to do with a new business venture, a best-selling project, or a streaming blockbuster. Instead, it centered on something far quieter but infinitely more powerful: a family reunion with King Charles. That single meeting dominated headlines across the world, reminding everyone that, despite years of distancing themselves from royal life, their strongest connection to public fascination still comes through the royal family. The contrast is difficult to ignore. Their independent projects often generate interest, but rarely sustain the level of worldwide attention that even the smallest royal interaction attracts. The moment there is the slightest sign of reconciliation or renewed family contact, newspapers, television networks, and social media platforms erupt with speculation. Many commentators have described this as the greatest irony of Harry and Meghan's post-royal journey. The couple set out to escape the monarchy's shadow. Yet that same institution continues to be the brightest spotlight, illuminating their public image. For Meghan, whose understanding of branding and visual storytelling has often been praised, the value of symbolism cannot be overstated. A single public photograph alongside King Charles would have carried enormous weight. It would have been seen by many as a powerful image of forgiveness, reconciliation, and enduring royal relevance. Such a moment could have strengthened their public standing overnight. The palace, however, appeared determined to maintain clear boundaries. There were no official portraits, no carefully staged family photographs, no balcony appearances, and no indication that the Sussexes were returning to any formal royal role. They were granted an audience, but not the public endorsement that many believed would transform the narrative. Even so, that private meeting alone kept Harry and Meghan at the center of global conversation for days. Humorous debates, even jokes comparing Meghan's famous jam with her strawberry spread, circulated widely online, blending lighthearted entertainment with pointed commentary. Whether admired or criticized, one reality seems impossible to ignore. Brand Sussex still shines brightest whenever the royal family, even briefly, opens the door. That lingering dependence makes their story of independence far more layered, paradoxical, and fascinating than ever before. So, why has King Charles been so extraordinarily kind to Harry despite all his flaws? Could there be a bigger picture? Stay with us. A father's heart, a king's duty. Now, King Charles made a decision that many people believe revealed both the heart of a father and the discipline of a monarch. Behind the titles, ceremonies, and royal traditions is an aging man facing serious health challenges. At such a stage in life, it is only natural for a father to want to see his son and for a grandfather to finally spend meaningful time with his grandchildren. On a personal level, allowing the meeting seemed compassionate, understandable, and deeply human. Yet Charles is not simply a father. He is also the King of the United Kingdom, and every private decision he makes has public consequences. Nothing involving the royal family is ever viewed as just a family matter. Every meeting, every gesture, and every silence is carefully examined by the public, the media, and royal watchers across the world. That is why Buckingham Palace reportedly approached the reunion with extraordinary care. There were no official photographs, no public display of affection, no announcements suggesting a restored relationship, and certainly no new royal responsibilities offered to Prince Harry or Meghan. Every detail appeared designed to prevent speculation, while ensuring the palace remained firmly in control of the story. Many observers believe this careful approach was a strategic masterstroke. Had Charles refused to meet Harry altogether, critics argue it could have strengthened the Sussexes' long-standing narrative that the royal family is distant, unforgiving, and unwilling to reconcile. Such a decision might have generated sympathy for Harry and Meghan while putting the king under intense public criticism. Instead, by agreeing to a quiet and private meeting, Charles removed that argument without giving away anything more than necessary. At the same time, he avoided creating the kind of powerful images that could later be used to suggest everything had returned to normal. There were no smiling family portraits, no balcony appearances, and no symbolic moments that could easily become the centerpiece of future documentaries, interviews, or memoirs. It was access, but not full acceptance. Compassion was shown, yet important boundaries remained firmly in place. Even so, questions continue to linger. Critics point to Harry and Meghan's history of sharing deeply personal family experiences in books, interviews, and television projects. Could details of this private reunion eventually become public? Might future events, such as anniversaries connected to Princess Diana or visits to the Spencer family estate, inspire new revelations? No one knows for certain. What is clear, however, is that King Charles attempted to balance emotion with responsibility. He extended the hand of a loving father while carefully protecting the dignity, stability, and long-term interests of the crown. A delicate, balancing act that continues to captivate audiences around the world. So, does William seem to share similar thoughts with King Charles? What possibilities does Harry have in the future of the monarchy? Let's find out. William's silence speaks loudest yet. Harry may have finally managed to spend some time with his father, King Charles. But one very important figure was missing from the entire reunion: Prince William. Despite all the attention surrounding Harry's return, there were no photos of the two brothers together, no warm words exchanged in public, and not even the smallest sign that they had met behind closed doors. That silence quickly became one of the biggest talking points, speaking far louder than any official palace announcement ever could. According to people close to the royal family, William is still deeply hurt by everything that has happened in recent years. The emotional damage, they say, did not come from just one event, but from a series of highly public moments. From Harry and Meghan's explosive interviews to their revealing documentaries, and finally Harry's memoir, which exposed deeply personal family matters. Those events are believed to have shattered the trust that once existed between the brothers. For William, this is about much more than a family disagreement. As the future king, he reportedly believes that rebuilding the relationship too quickly could send the wrong message, that publicly criticizing the monarchy and revealing private family affairs carries little or no lasting consequence. Until that trust is restored, true reconciliation may remain painfully out of reach. The difference between Charles and William is becoming increasingly clear. As a father, King Charles may still hope that time can heal family wounds and that the door to reconciliation should never be completely closed. His role allows him to balance duty with personal love for his son. William, however, sees the situation through a very different lens. As the man preparing to inherit the throne, his priority is safeguarding the monarchy's future, its reputation, and the public's confidence in the institution. Personal emotions matter, but protecting the crown comes first. This growing divide gives the royal story even greater emotional weight. Harry still carries the titles of Prince and Duke, and he continues to represent causes close to his heart, such as the Invictus Games. Yet titles alone cannot restore broken trust or rebuild relationships that have been damaged over many years. The person who will eventually lead the monarchy has shown no visible sign that forgiveness or reconciliation is close at hand. That reality casts a long shadow over Harry's recent public appearances. No matter how cheerful, relaxed, or optimistic he may seem during interviews or podcast conversations, the deeper family conflict remains unresolved. His positive outlook cannot erase years of painful accusations, broken confidence, and emotional distance. Perhaps the clearest message from William's silence is this: one meeting with a father, however meaningful, does not repair years of fractured relationships or reopen the doors that have been firmly closed. For now, the future direction of the British monarchy appears to rest with William, Catherine, and their children, not with Harry and Meghan, regardless of how strongly they may wish to maintain a connection to their former royal roles. Can Harry continue to enjoy privileges even after William becomes the king? Would he remain in UK or leave royal duties completely again? Stay glued. Highgrove's quiet test of trust. For many people watching from the outside, the private meeting at Highgrove was never about a dramatic reconciliation or a triumphant return. Instead, it felt more like a carefully planned experiment, one that could determine whether years of public conflict, painful interviews, and broken trust could finally begin to give way to something better. Every person involved had something important to prove. Harry had to show that he could rebuild relationships without turning every private moment into a public story. Meghan faced questions about whether she would allow such a deeply personal family moment to remain exactly that, personal. King Charles, meanwhile, had to decide whether extending even a small gesture of goodwill was worth the risk of being disappointed again. For now, the first signs appeared, encouraging. The meeting remained private. No photographs surfaced. No dramatic statements followed. Palace officials stayed silent, and there were no immediate leaks from either side. Harry reportedly left feeling refreshed and optimistic, suggesting that the conversation may have achieved more than many expected. Yet beneath that hopeful mood, the biggest questions remain unanswered. Harry is expected to return to Britain for future engagements, including the Well-Child Awards, and there is growing speculation that more family meetings could take place. Looking further ahead, many are wondering whether Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet might finally appear publicly at the next Invictus Games, and whether King Charles himself could attend. Each future appearance or absence will be closely examined for clues about whether genuine healing is taking place, or whether this latest meeting was simply a temporary pause in a much longer conflict. Harry's recent podcast interviews have also revealed something that many royal watchers find fascinating. Even after years of living in California and building a new life outside the monarchy, he still seems deeply connected to his royal identity. Whenever discussions turn to who he truly is, the royal family remains central to his story. That emotional attachment has never completely disappeared, despite everything that has happened. Combined with the financial pressures and growing public scrutiny facing the Sussexes, the appeal of reconnecting with the monarchy may be stronger than ever. King Charles also made a significant gamble. By opening the door, even slightly, he reduced criticism that he was unwilling to forgive. At the same time, he exposed the family to another difficult test. If privacy is respected, trust may slowly grow. If old habits return, the fragile progress could disappear overnight. This meeting was never the final chapter. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new and uncertain journey, filled with hope, caution, and unanswered questions. Will this quiet conversation become the first step toward lasting peace, or will it reopen wounds that have barely begun to heal? The world continues to watch, captivated by a royal story, driven by love, disappointment, loyalty, regret, and the possibility that reconciliation might still be within reach. So, what do you think about how the Sussexes keep monetizing the monarchy? Do you really think they deserve so much kindness from King Charles? We'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.